podcasting. It just got touched on here, so I want to make sure we cover that. Where are you guys at with podcasting? Are all of your personalities doing it? Some of them doing it?
Right now we have our morning shows doing it up on Podcast One. We've just felt like that was the most fertile ground for content at this point.
Any guidelines on that you give your talent on it, or it's just their palette and they can paint what they want to?
Don't make them overly long. Put enough on there where people feel like it was worth downloading. But if you make it overly long, people just don't have that kind of time.
How long? 15 minutes? 10 minutes?
Yeah, that's.
Got it.
I would max
daily.
I think another guideline,
daily,
like you said, is consistency.
Daily.
But I feel like podcasting is, a digital phenomenon. I didn't realize this, but according to a recent Bridge study, and I think Edison Media did something similar as well, 23% of all Americans 12 to 64 have listened to a podcast in the past 30 days. I mean, is that number like crazy high? I mean, I was blown away by it. That's literally 1 out of 4 people. I think this is an opportunity for radio because, we have two things that podcasters don't have. Number one, we have a big megaphone to promote it. But number two, we have an industry full of great storytellers and audio experts. Some of these podcasters that are actually doing quite well and making some good money have no talent whatsoever when it comes to storytelling and, good audio practices and production quality. We have an industry full of people that are good at that. And I think that we have an opportunity to make that something that, we could be own.
I was just going to say there's two types of podcasts. There's repurposed audio, where you take something that's already been on the air and you put it on your website for download, or there's original audio. And we haven't gone into that space yet in Milwaukee, but we'd like to. And one of the things that seems to be a component of successful podcasts like that is to have some kind of theme. Tony and John mentioned passion in the last thing. And if you're passionate about something, whether it's movies or food or woodworking or quilting or, stamp collecting, whatever, chances are if you keep that theme along, you're gonna develop a fan base. Because guess what? There's a lot of people out there just like you that are passionate about that one thing. But if you're gonna have your jock go in and just open up the microphone in the studio and talk for 15 minutes, that's a waste of time, in my opinion.
It's a great brand extension, to your point.
It's compelling content that maybe they can't say on the air. They can get a little bit more adult, something like that. It can introduce another side to them. Speaking of such as that, it's no longer like, caller 10 wins. That doesn't make anything happen anymore. So today, on-air and off-air promotion, let's discuss a little bit, what types of promotions or contests are moving the needle and work the best for you guys with your personalities. Brian, you had a slide on this too, didn't you?
I did not. That was actually part of the other stuff with the social networking.
Okay, got it.
As part of outside marketing. But as far as contests go,
we can still run that if you want.
No, that's okay. We as far as contesting goes. Text to win is becoming more and more popular. I don't like to do it all the time because I also, one of the other things that you're going to hear more and more about in the next few months and years is getting listener data and finding out things about your listeners. And with text contests, a lot of times you don't get that information. But if you're able to put a contest on a website and register and go, hey, what do you think of, and ask them a couple of questions. Are you going to buy a car in the next 6 months? Are you into organic foods? Blah, blah, blah. As they register for this contest, which is currency, then pretty soon you have a pretty awesome database. My God, look at the databases, Amazon has and Groupon, things like that. They know exactly what you're into and what you like, and you see it in emails that you get back and in the pages that you cruise through. So one of the things I'd really like to work on as far as a goal for us is to work on more contests that will get us some more, data mining experience.
Well, I will say a couple things. One, it's hard to beat cash. Cash seems to always work. And even, national cash contests could be effective for those of you who work for a large company that executes national cash contests. Don't be afraid of them or think they don't work or think it makes you sound non-local, because I'm telling you right now, they work. Doug Montgomery's sitting right there, and he used to work for iHeart, and they just kick my butt every time they do one of their cash contests. But I will say that the contests that I feel like move the needle are the contests that are very creative and that get people talking about the station. In fact, I want to mention Doug again, because I was having dinner with him last night, and he told me about a contest they did in one of his markets where they gave away farm animals. I think most people took the cash value of that contest, as you said, but that got people talking about, they're giving away sheep? What? Those are the types of promotions and the contests that I'd like to see.
Very cool. Patty?
I'm a fan of aspirational type contests. Q102 is very pink in its approach. We're unabashedly female. And one of the few stations still probably giving away purses, but they can't get enough of them. So I would say that's one thing don't do. Don't get off of a contest because you're tired of it. Take the time to test it. Take the time to find out what the appeal of the contest is, and don't have it go away just because you're looking for the next big thing. We also we give away trips. So the question is on the air, how do you give away trips? Do you just give away trips and sell the trip? Or do you sell the idea behind taking a trip? And for women on Q102, we call them girlfriend getaways. It's a trip to Punta Cana. You can get it with Vacation Express. So you could call it that, or you could call it girlfriend getaways. Or you could give away a trip to Vegas, or you could do like our Seattle sister station does and give away a trip to Jubal's birthday party in Vegas. I think selling the sizzle is something that radio does better than any other medium. You have an opportunity with your promos, and they can still be 30 seconds and be amazing, to emotionally connect the prize to the listener. Just think deeper than $500 song of the day.
You said something really, I think, important there. Don't be afraid to do things again. And I think, I think sometimes we're afraid to do the same things over and over because we feel like it gets boring, or we're not going to seem as creative. But the fact is, a really good radio contest becomes a brand, and it works better and better every time you do it. Mm-hmm. And doesn't mean we can't improve it, make it, change it up a little bit, make it a little, spice it up. But building a brand, a contest brand, is just like building a radio station brand. So don't be afraid to do it more than once.
Yeah, it's we do purses like Pat. We do purses 4 times a year because it moves the needle every single time. People love those purses.
Our station is probably known as the station that gives away purses.
We're the purse station.
There you go. We're running out of time, but I wanted to just touch on one other important part of our curriculum up here today: imaging. Patty said imaging. The goal of imaging is to keep your listener benefit at the top of your mind instead of just pushing your brand message. That's brilliant. That really is. Are you doing in-house or are you doing contracted imaging? How often is imaging updated? And do you use more than one voice? And when is it time to change your imaging voices? Maybe you guys can address that real quickly before we wrap up.
I think it's a gut thing as far as when to change. We've had. When I first got there, we started out with male voices on both stations, and we have since evolved into female voices for both stations. Our main station voice. We use Ann DeWig on mix, who is absolutely brilliant. Her outtakes are better than half the other voice people in the country as far as doing stuff. She's absolutely great. Boy, when you find a good voice person, hold on to them. And if you got some imaging person or production person in house that can make that magic happen and put the right elements, it's really good stationality stuff.
I'm not a big fan of changing voices too often. I feel like a great as long as it fits your brand and it's sending the right message, I feel like the voice or your jingles or whatever is part of your brand. I mean, think about your favorite TV station or whatever. You probably recognize the voice talent on that. And whenever you hear that voice, even when you hear that voice doing a commercial or something separate from that station, you think of that. You associate that voice with your station. So I like consistency. I like consistency when it comes to voice talents, unless there is a good reason from a brand to change.
Very good. We are out of time. I'd like to thank Lori Lewis and the entire Conclave board for putting this session together. Let's give all of our panelists a big round of applause. Patty, Justin, Brian, and we thank you guys very much for showing up this afternoon or this morning and participating in this. Thank you.